You wake to the sound of cicadas buzzing through your paper window. The humid August air already clings to your skin, even though the sun barely crests the hills beyond the city. It's Monday, August 6, 1945, and you're just another factory worker in Hiroshima, a city that has somehow been spared while Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya burned under waves of American bombers. You don't know why Hiroshima remains untouched. Some say the Americans have family here. Others whisper that the city is being saved for something else. You push the thought away as you splash water on your face from the basin near your futon. There's work to do. There's always work to do. The streets are already alive when you step outside. Mothers guide children towards school, their voices mixing with the clatter of wooden sandals on stone. The Oda River flows quietly through the city's 7 channels, reflecting the pale morning light. You pass Mr. Tanaka's noodle shop, where the smell of broth mingles with the smoky scent from breakfast fires. Everything feels painfully, beautifully normal. A streetcar rattles past, packed with commuters heading to the dockyards and munitions plants. You board the next one, squeezing between a young woman holding a bundle of cloth and an elderly man reading yesterday's newspaper. The headline speaks of continued resistance, of honor, of fighting until the last breath. No one meets anyone's eyes. Everyone is tired. The war has taken sons, brothers, fathers. Rice rations grow smaller each week, but Hiroshima still stands, and in that, there is a strange, quiet pride. You arrive at the factory just as the morning whistle blows. The building is a converted textile mill, now producing parts for aircraft that will never fly. The machinery hums and clanks, a rhythm you've memorized over 3 years of 12-hour shifts. Your supervisor, a stern man with a permanent limp from the Manchurian campaign, nods as you take your station. The work is mind-numbing but necessary. You tell yourself this every day. Around you, dozens of others do the same, their faces drawn and pale in the fluorescent lights. Someone coughs. The dust from the metalwork never quite leaves your lungs. You glance at the clock on the wall. It's 7:45 a.m. In exactly 1 hour and 11 minutes, your world will end, though you don't know it yet. None of you know. The air raid sirens wailed twice already this morning, sending everyone briefly to the shelters, but the all clear sounded both times. False alarms. American reconnaissance planes, probably. They've been spotted over the city for weeks, circling like vultures, taking photographs, flying too high for the anti-aircraft guns to reach. You've stopped fearing them. Everyone has. Hiroshima has been passed over so many times that the anxiety has dulled into a kind of fatalistic acceptance. The Americans will come eventually, or they won't. Either way, you have quotas to meet. You turn back to your workbench, fitting a small metal component into place with practiced precision. The radio in the corner plays military music, tinny and too loud. At 8:00 a.m., the morning shift takes a brief break. You step outside into the courtyard, wiping sweat from your forehead. The sky is brilliantly clear, an almost painful blue stretching endlessly overhead, not a single cloud. Someone jokes that it's perfect weather for the Emperor's divine wind to blow the Americans back into the sea. A few people laugh, but the sound is hollow. You light a cigarette with trembling hands, rationing the tobacco carefully. In the distance, you hear the faint drone of aircraft engines. No one reacts. It's become background noise, like the river or the cicadas. A young girl, maybe 16, stands near the doorway staring up at the sky. She squints against the brightness and frowns, shielding her eyes. "Do you see that?" she asks quietly. You follow her gaze but see nothing unusual. Just blue. Just endless blue. Inside the factory, the machines roar back to life. You crush your cigarette under your shoe and return to your station. The clock reads 8:10 a.m. Your hands move automatically, piece after piece, the same motion repeated until your shoulders ache. Somewhere above you, thousands of meters in the stratosphere, a B-29 superfortress named Enola Gay releases a single bomb. It is 10 feet long, weighs nearly 10,000 pounds, and carries the power of 15,000 tons of TNT compressed into a core of uranium-235. The bomb falls silently through the perfect blue sky. You don't hear it. No one does. For 43 seconds, it drops toward the city center, guided by fins, armed by barometric triggers, invisible and inevitable. The people of Hiroshima go about their morning. A mother brews tea, a child chases a stray dog, a clerk stamps documents in a government office, a tram conductor calls out the next stop. You fit another component into place, your mind wandering to what you'll eat for lunch, if there's enough miso paste left at home, whether your sister's cough has improved. At precisely 8:15 a.m. and 17 seconds, the bomb detonates 968 feet above the Shima Surgical Clinic, less than 2 miles from where you stand. For 1/1,000,000th of a second, the temperature at the hypocenter reaches several million degrees Celsius, hotter than the surface of the sun. The explosion releases a blinding flash of light and heat that vaporizes everything within a half-mile radius. Human beings are reduced to shadows burned into stone. Buildings disintegrate into atomic dust. The flash is so bright that people 15 miles away will later describe being momentarily blinded. Then comes the shockwave, traveling faster than sound, a wall of compressed air moving at over 600 miles per hour. It shatters every window in the city, collapses wooden structures like paper, and hurls debris through the air like shrapnel. The factory walls buckle and scream. The ceiling tears apart. You see the light before you feel anything else, a white so pure and overwhelming that it erases thought, erases fear, erases everything. If this moment chills you to the bone, hit subscribe so you never miss the next time history turns dark. Drop a comment. Which forgotten disaster should we live through next? The blast wave hits you with the force of a freight train. You're thrown backward, your body ragdoll limp, crashing into machinery and concrete. The world becomes noise and chaos, a roaring that swallows all other sound. The air itself seems to ignite. Your skin blisters instantly from the thermal radiation, and the pain is unlike anything you've ever imagined. Yet somehow your mind still functions, still registers the horror unfolding in microseconds. Around you, your coworkers are torn apart, crushed, incinerated. The young girl who looked at the sky is gone. The supervisor with the limp is gone. The building is collapsing inward, a storm of splintered wood, twisted metal, and pulverized concrete. You try to breathe, but the air is fire. You try to scream, but there's no sound except the roar. And then mercifully, there is nothing. Those who survive the initial blast face something worse. A black rain begins to fall, thick and oily, contaminated with radioactive fallout and the ashes of 80 Zaran human beings. The fires spread uncontrollably, merging into a firestorm that consumes 16 square miles of the city. Survivors stagger through streets they no longer recognize, their skin hanging in sheets, their eyes melted, their hair singed away. They beg for water, crawling toward the rivers, only to drown in the current or die from shock along the banks. The hospitals are destroyed. The doctors are dead. There is no help coming. By the end of the day, 70,000 people are dead. By the end of the year, the number will climb to 140,000 as radiation sickness claims those who seem to have escaped. Children will be born with deformities for generations. The land itself will carry the atomic scar for decades. Hiroshima was chosen deliberately. It was a major military supply depot, a communications center, and a city largely intact, making it perfect for measuring the bomb's destructive power. The decision-makers in Washington knew the human cost. They calculated it, debated it, and proceeded anyway, believing it would force Japan's surrender and save American lives in a planned invasion. 3 days later, Nagasaki would burn under a second atomic bomb. On August 15th, Emperor Hirohito would announce Japan's surrender in a radio broadcast, his voice crackling through speakers across a shattered nation. The war was over. The nuclear age had begun. What haunts historians is not just the scale of destruction, but the ordinariness of that morning. You were not a soldier. You were not making policy or commanding armies. You were just trying to survive, to work, to protect your family in a world already torn apart by war. The bomb didn't distinguish between the guilty and the innocent, the willing and the coerced. It simply erased everything within its reach. In the decades since, Hiroshima has been rebuilt into a thriving city, a monument to human resilience, and a stark warning about the weapons we've created. The atomic bomb dome still stands, its skeletal frame preserved exactly as the blast left it. A reminder that what seemed impossible, what seemed unthinkable, happened on a clear August morning when the sky was perfectly blue. Like this video, if these buried stories deserve to be remembered. So here's the question that history whispers to us across 80 years. What unsinkable thing in your life scares you the most? What normalcy do you cling to, believing it will always be there, never imagining how quickly the world can turn to ash and shadow? Because the people of Hiroshima believed their city was special, protected, saved for some reason they couldn't explain. They believed right up until the moment the sky turned white. And in that belief, in that fatal comfort, they were just like us.